Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope you enjoyed the session on the events outlook. And now we jump into towards 2022 and beyond. At Josoor, we thought we wanted to create an opportunity to invite a small group of distinguished guests to share with us, first of all, whether and how the COVID pandemic has had an impact on their expertise, on their sector, but probably more importantly, in perspective, we will love to hear from them about the lead up to 2022 in their respective areas, and also what they see beyond 2022 as the legacy of the ongoing work. So I would suggest that we do a short round of questions specifically on the impact of COVID, and then we focus the session towards 2022 and beyond. I would start with Engineer Ghanim. Thank you so much, Ghanim Al-Kuwari, for joining us today. Could you share with us some of your takeaways and lessons from the impact of the pandemic on your work?
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for inviting me to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's affecting the process that we are following to maintain, operate the stadiums and training site. Thanks to the process that we implemented through the Supreme Committee towards all the stadiums and training sites that we are handling to protect our workers. And our workers, we divide them into two main sectors. Workers working with the still ongoing construction in the stadiums, and the other workers who are already transferred to the operation site. I want to talk first of all about the procedure that has been implemented to protect our workers, with all the efforts being putting in this among all the departments in the Supreme Committee, which gives our workers the ability to continue without any disturbance. So we have added all the procedures within the site itself, giving them the assurance of the continuity of our work, giving them also the tools that really protect them, such as the distributing the mask or any sanitization, also the working hours during the pandemic, and how we protect our workers by testing them periodically towards our stadiums and training site. We haven't, to be honest with you, got any, we're not affected by the pandemic that much. Our business continued. The stadiums and training site operation, it's ongoing. And as you know, and everybody knows, we have hosted the most important tournaments, such as the West Asian, and also right now we are ongoing with the East. And also we are going ahead with the new events, as you know, the FCWC. So out of that, we continued. We learned a lot from the pandemic, how to protect everyone working within the stadiums and the training site. We have learned the new procedures and how to be implemented and how fast we act. This is very important, and that's really give us a lessons to go ahead with the new events that Qatar are hosting, and the most important one, as you know, is the World Cup in 2022.
Thank you so much, Engineer Ghanim, and we'll revert to you when we go through the story of 2022 and beyond. May I naturally give the floor to Ahmed Abbasi, as we're talking about stadiums and matches. What has been your experience over the past 9 months?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Thank you very much for inviting me for HIWAR 2020. And when we talk about 2020, of course, we all have the pandemic in mind, which has created a lot of issues all over the world. And I think the biggest takeaway that we can take from 2020 is that we have to be adaptive. But even bigger than that, it has taught us that the real heroes are not on the pitch. They are not the Cristiano Ronaldos, they are not the Messis, because when it comes to a pandemic and when it comes to health, life and death, they will stay at home and they can't do anything about it. So this is very important for us. Hopefully, also very important for the players to understand that there is a life beyond their football career, and we've had many discussions with them to enhance also their cognitive capabilities and to think further than just the next match. When it comes to our operations, of course, we've always believed that our success is in the hands of God, of course, and we would have to be adaptive when it comes to when we have any or when we face any obstacles, as we have seen this year. And I hope we will never face an obstacle that is similar to the one in 2020. But we have created a protocol that is very, very much different from normal football operations as we know it from before COVID. But everybody had, with all the stakeholders, and especially the health workers who have been the heroes. Even when we had to bring football back, they were the ones who gave us the necessary support to bring football back safely. Now we have learned, and we have learned that we all have to be adaptive no matter what comes on the way. So this helps us towards 2022 to create the best, or to host the best event ever. Whatever obstacle we will face, we are going to be adaptive, and we are going to deliver the amazing.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much for your remarks and for reminding all of us actually of the importance of health, safety, and the job of all our colleagues specifically involved in keeping us safe and healthy. That's very important. Sometimes we tend to forget. Flavia, one of the first things I learned joining Supreme Committee is that one of the key factors that makes a difference between a great event and a fantastic event is the volunteers. And how have you been dealing with your specific portfolio in time of COVID? How have you been keeping in touch with your community? What kind of activities you've been able to deliver? It would be great to hear from you.
Thank you. Now it's a pleasure to actually be joining the panel with so remarkable attendees. I think for us, COVID-19 was quite interesting, I would say, because volunteer is about people, it's about context, it's about relationships, yeah. So in the beginning, we were like a bit shocked, yeah, and we're like, okay, how can we keep the core of what we are online, yeah, and then change. So for us was an opportunity to actually change some of the way we do things. Yeah, we had to, like, okay, for example, training with Josoor. Yeah, we were doing these massive sessions with lots of volunteers training. Now we can't do massive sessions of volunteer training. So we had to change that to be an online session and train different tools and find different platforms that work. And the content needs to be created completely different than when you're actually in face-to-face. And so we were going through like, okay, how can we keep people engaged when we actually are doing our training online? And some of our volunteers also were able to actually volunteer for the COVID-19 efforts. So they were actually put their hand up and say, okay, whatever the country needs, if it's actually temperature HIWAR, helping people with testing, whatever they could help, they actually put their hand up to help, which I think was really nice to see, that the football community is not just about events or about football, but we also actually, the volunteers are ready to support any cause, any humanitarian cause that needs the help of good people to make things happening and to support what is required at the time. So I think that was another thing that was really good to see, and I was very proud, you know what I mean, that to see so many of our volunteers were able to participate with the Minister of Health. They were able to join the effort and help, so I think that was something different for us. I think something that is also impacts us is like now we do a lot of testing, we do COVID testing quite a lot now, to make sure when the volunteers are in some of the events, we need to make sure they're safe. Depending on how many people they are in contact with. So there is lots of new measurements that we need to put in place. And our most successful one, I would say, was last Saturday. We were able to celebrate International Volunteer Day in an event with all the COVID-19 regulations. We were able to invite 600 volunteers. They all tested. So they all had to come for testing, make sure they were negative 48 hours before the event. And then we actually were able to put everybody into the stadium and had an amazing celebration when we had 60 volunteers playing football in Khalifa Stadium. And then we had all the other volunteers supporting. And it was everybody was so excited to be able to be together. Even with the restrictions, we were all together and celebrating. So it was really nice. And we were able to do that really in a very safe measure. So we are adapting. I would say we've been adapting, but still achieving and delivering really well. Yeah. Thank
you, Flavia. And I think your comments resonate well with the keywords from Engineer Ghanim and from Ahmed on the importance of speed and the importance of adapting fast and also adapting in the end, also very protocols. Please. Sorry? Yes. Thank you, Flavia. We'll get back to you in a few minutes. And for an additional set of remarks on the impact of COVID, I'm happy to welcome Mark Scholar, who's been an expert for about 3 decades in security and multi-agency preparedness. Mark, what have you seen happening in your area of expertise over the past few months?
Yes, I really am that old, 3 decades of this stuff. So I first of all, thank you very much for inviting me along today. I feel hugely blessed to be here with you all and speaking on such an esteemed panel, and especially so listening to some of the comments both from this session and the session previously. I think from my world and my background is in as kind of large sporting events or large events across the piece, together with kind of the preparedness of the police, the fire, the ambulance, the military, the business community, to be able to work better together to prepare ourselves for whatever challenges we are presented with. And of course, over this last year, a significant impact for my world is the inability to be able to travel, to be able to go and do some of this work face to face. And certainly for the last 2 years, we've been working very closely with the Supreme Council and Samud in Qatar to deliver what we call the Qatari Emergency Services Interoperability Program, which has now been written about how we can work better together and therefore be more effective in our response. And of course, events themselves remain to be of interest to those people who want to disrupt those events, and that is something which is not going to go away. And I had a quick look before I came on the poll this morning to see that we have currently in the UK now 800 live investigations into counter-terrorism investigations alone taking place right now today. Is happening now. And of course, what you have with these events, when they happen, global footprint events, where you're inviting lots of different countries to come and be a part of it, it may very well be that you are the safest country in the entire world, but what these different countries bring with them is a degree of vulnerability, which I think is something that we are all very acutely aware of, and something that we want to try and deal with. So I absolutely believe that the comments made earlier by Ahmed in relation to having an adaptable, flexible, scalable workforce, and people who are doing that is absolutely correct. And I very much look forward to working alongside Josoor going forward in the volunteer programs and hopefully beyond that as well.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you so much, everyone, for your opening remarks. Let's imagine that COVID is behind us, or at least we have learned these very tough and somehow interesting lessons from the COVID pandemic, and we are on the way full steam towards 2022. Let me welcome your remarks, your update on what you and your colleagues are working on in the run-up to the tournament. Engineer Gami, I would leave you the floor again.
Thank you. Now, yes, as you have said, we have to move on with our plans, which we are really going ahead with it. The stadium's operation with the new plan that we are implementing is going in the right direction. How? The stadium itself, it's not only about how many events that we will host within the stadium itself, it's about the type of the events that our stadiums and training site are hosting right now. Putting back the COVID-19 pandemic, and with the new rules and regulation, how we are managing the stadium, this is the best part that we are doing right now with our colleagues, with our contractors and subcontractors. We are all in a place where we have to move on with our plans. Right now in the stadiums, as you know, hosting not only the big events such as the West and East AFC and the next coming events, it's about also some of the legacy that we are doing right now in the stadiums. It's like the stadium itself are hosting some different events, such as the social events. How we are engaging the community right now to host them within one of our premises, and mainly is the training site. How we are implementing those rules and giving the opportunity to the community to be engaging with us using our facilities. This is something that we are moving ahead with right now, beside still the ongoing construction towards our stadium and training sites. Also, we are implementing the new rules to operate the stadium in a way to give the opportunity and to make it much easier for the end user to use our facilities. And that's all towards the FIFA World Cup, and next is the legacy that we will leave out there with the stadiums and training site and the rules and the plans that it's been implemented in there. We could see the visions going ahead, that our premises, our facilities, it's really, I would say, ready to host any such event, even with short notice. A lot of our workers and our technical people learned a lot out of this pandemic, but we reached to the point where we are able to host any events that will come in a very short notice. So as I said, with whatever that we have learned, our stadium and training site, what we have implemented in that, we are engaging really the community, everyone here in Qatar, not only the big events that we're talking about and hosting, it's everyone are getting the benefit out of what we have reached until now. As I said, the construction in some stadiums are still ongoing, but the stadium training site has been handed over to the operation side. We are getting the benefit out of it, with the contractors and subcontractors, consultants, and everybody are working with us to move forward with our plans, and the benefit that we'll get, everyone will get it out of this. Our relationships, especially with Qatar Football Association and Qatar Stars League and the other also government authority, it's really a strong relation in order to make sure that what we are doing in the stadium and training side they are getting the benefit out of it. So we're moving in a way to reach the point that we will be in 2022 ready for any circumstances that we might occur with our experience that we had since we started the operation in the stadium and the training site.
Thank you, Engineer Ghanim. Ahmed, how is your journey going towards 2022, both in terms of also professional terms, but also as a Qatari citizen who is very involved with the machine? This must be also exciting at the personal level.
Yes, of course, very exciting times are ahead of us. At the Qatar Stars League, our purpose is to enhance social, economic, and environmental sustainability through the passion of football. And our vision is to become the best league in Asia. This has never changed, also throughout the crisis of Corona. So we were always firm with our purpose and our vision, but flexible with our methods. So we are very much looking forward to a bright future where we are going to play a very big role on the pitch and also off the pitch when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to hosting a mega sports event, but also when it comes to attractive football. So we've seen some very good indicators of our football development, and we're forecasting or foreseeing very large improvements in the next months ahead, especially with the excitement of towards 2022 and all the local players, but also foreign players that come here to play in our league. All around the FIFA World Cup in the country gives this common purpose of delivering the amazing. And I think this has been key in the past 10 years, ever since this has been announced, but also of course getting closer to 2022. 2019 was a very important year for our football, winning the Asian Cup for our national team. So all of this are catalysts that accelerate our development towards our vision and towards our purpose.
Thank you, Ahmed. May I just ask you a quick follow-up question? A few weeks ago, we were in another session focusing a bit more specifically on the role of technology. Would you be able to share one or two examples also on technological innovation that QSL has been embracing full steam in the past few months or few years?
Of course. So, as I said earlier, we are very firm with our vision to become the best league in Asia. But to be able to be flexible with the methods, you need to believe in innovation, and you need to invest in innovation. And we were always one of the pioneers, even in the world, when it came to football innovation. One of the first believers was the Qatar Stars League more than 10 years ago, when started investing in football analysis and other football technologies. Now, the past 10 years. The football industry has seen an emergence in technology, and probably the most controversial one and the most known one is the VAR, which is the video assistant referee, which has changed the sport entirely. So there are a lot of innovations that help football clubs, coaches, players to find this competitive advantage as the game is developing, getting faster, stronger. So everybody is looking for that millisecond, for that advantage, for that information before anyone else has it. Now, lately, for example, we have been, we are the second league in the world to implement live analysis, which means that the coach has the possibility during the match to receive video captions and also physical data in order to take instant decisions during the match when it comes to preventing injuries of his players, but also detecting your own weaknesses and making decisions accordingly, or weaknesses of the opponent, and changing making the adjustments in your team so that you can have this quarter of a second which can lead to a goal. So innovation is a major player now in the industry, and we see a future where innovation is going to play even a larger role, getting the football getting football and sports in general into another level. You never know, maybe we will see in a couple of years where you go to a stadium, maybe you go to Khalifa Stadium, full stadium, and you're watching a match that is actually played somewhere in the US. This is possible through innovation. So we have been very, very a pioneer in football innovation, and we're continuing in this path, and we believe that this is a major driver towards our purpose, but also towards our vision.
Thank you, Ahmed. Flavia, so you are actually able to deliver volunteers activities no matter the bumpy situation with COVID, but how do you see the coming 700 days, so to speak, in your role and in the engagement of your community, specific projects? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think we've been supporting so all the events that we have to support AFC tournaments. Yeah, they have been happening for the East and West. We've been supporting with a small number of volunteers because there is no spectators, so it was a small number of volunteers for those events. Now we're working on Amir Cup, which is going to be the first event with a large number of spectators, and then we have a large number of volunteers as well. Which is going to be very interesting for us because we're trying some different ways, again, because the COVID-19 regulations, we're trying some different ways to deliver the program. For us, it's very important now is the road. Yeah, we are in this road to 2022. So everything we do is as a learning. So we are trying what we can do in a small scale to make sure we can then do that in a large scale when we have 20,000 volunteers for the World Cup. And we're building a very strong community of volunteers that are also learning through the roles and then getting more experts in their positions as well, to be able to be the leaders and the ones performing really well when the World all come to Qatar in 2022. So we have a lot going on. Because everything, what do we believe for the volunteer program is that the World Cup is just an opportunity to really grow and develop even further the culture of volunteering in Qatar. So everything we do now is to deliver the World Cup, and then after thinking about the legacy of how all of that can stay, and just giving a more people volunteering and really developing further the culture that is already existing in Qatar in volunteering. So there is a lot of work being done, and in the ongoing training that we want to do next year, we make sure everybody's ready. And we're also preparing for the Club World Cup. I think that's our next big challenge is the Club World Cup in February. And then after we have Pan-Arabic at the end of the year, which will be a quite big test event for us, for everybody, for all of us, not just for me, but for all of us with the stadiums. And everybody is going to be tested. And it's all in preparation to make sure we're ready for 2022, which is a big year for us. 2022, we have to interview all the volunteers, make sure everybody's trained, and expected like around 20,000 minimum volunteers to participate in this. So it's a big number. So we're growing and making the community stronger.
Thank you, Flavia. So Mark, we discussed infrastructure, community building, the game, and ultimately people at the end of the day. And how do you see the key elements in preparedness from your perspective? What are the key elements to be taken into account on the road towards 2022?
Well, certainly for me, there are the two kind of lines of direction for me from the protect and preparedness space. For me personally and my company, and first the police, the fire, the ambulance, the military, community, National Command Centre, the firearms teams, Laquia, everybody working together, training together, testing together, adjusting together, organizationally learning together, and then feeding that back in so it actually becomes a part of their everyday operations. That is going to be the focus of the company with the emergency services inside Doha and Qatar more generally over this next couple of years. But I actually see, under the auspices of the phrase kind of, remember the world is watching. For me personally, the most important batch of people right now are going to be the volunteer program. The volunteering program going forward is a very, very big deal. The world is watching, and there's going to be an awful lot of volunteers out there who are going to be, from the general volunteers through the team leaders through to the functional area managers who are going to be the forward-facing, the public piece for all of these events. And so therefore we have to make sure that the training, the confidence which sits inside them, the reasons why they're becoming volunteers in the first place is all brought into one place. So in actual fact, we're creating a community of people who realise that that the world's televisions are going to be watching them, that every single thing that they do will be, they'll be the front face of all this, and they're not just volunteers who are coming along, they're actually representing Qatar as a country, as the forward-facing piece. So certainly my focus over this next few years, for as long as I'm allowed to do so, will be to make sure that the volunteering program alongside Flavia, Nicola and the rest of the team is to make sure it's as good as it can possibly be, and that will certainly be our focus.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you everyone for your comments. In the meantime, I would invite the audience, if they are keen to do so, to post questions in the chat. But let me go like one of the panelists in the previous session said, a little bit into the crystal ball. So let's for a moment take some distance from our daily job and priorities, and let's imagine ourselves in like 2028, 2030. Right, so let's enter into the universe of the legacy. How do you see, if you were in 2030, how do you see your area and the developments in your area building on 2022 and beyond?
Yes, I mean, the legacy of our stadium and training site, I can see it from now, even before the 2022. So for example, that when we have constructed the training site clusters, we are putting in mind from the design point of view is how we get the benefit that the training site that we're going to be building, not only for 2022, but it's also very helpful for the community itself. Right now you can see that the community, not only the clubs, are using the training site, which is already being built. So if we were talking about the legacy, it is there right now. Also, when you go to the stadium itself, Al Janoub or even Al Bayt Stadium, which is still not open, but the main works have been finished, you can see also how the community are enjoying the parks, which is surrounding Al Bayt Stadium and Al Janoub Stadium. How we have built something also for everybody here in Qatar to enjoy. The running track, the cycling track, the coffee shops and restaurants around the parks in Al Bayt and in Al Janoub Stadium. So I can see really the vision. I can see in 2030 that our stadiums were not going to be only hosting the sport events. No. It is for any such event that we're looking for, and thanks God for the design that we have designed most of our stadiums, especially in Al Bayt and also in Al Janoub, with the retractable roof that can be closed. Enjoy any event that you're looking for, doesn't matter of the weather forecast and that at that time. Also by bringing down the capacity of each stadium as a 50% in the spectators, that also give us another opportunity to build up the new facilities, which is, again, it is in the design that we already have designed, and also that's to to give the opportunity for everyone to get the benefit out of our stadium and training site. So I can see the legacy now, not even in 2030.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ghanim. Ahmed, what do you see in 2030?
In 2030, we see definitely Qatar playing a major role in world football. This was the vision, 10 years ago for our national team, and today, our national team is the Asian champion and participating in major international events such as the Copa America, the Gold Cup, and others. So we see that we are on the right path. The World Cup is a catalyst, so this is something that gives us a benchmark of where we want to stand, not only in terms of the amazing facilities that we have, and this is something I would like to thank Mr. Engineer Ghanim and his team. It gives us such an excitement, for any player that would come from, and we've seen world-class players such as Santi Cazorla or Xavi being impressed by the facilities that we have. So this sets a certain benchmark for everybody that we have world-class facilities. We need to have world-class football. We're on the way there. So 2030, we will definitely be a key player in when it comes to world, good football, let's say, but also in the enhancement of social, economic, and environmental sustainability for the country through the passion of football. And this is a key factor for us. It's not just a game of 11 against 11. It's way beyond that. So there is an implication that is beyond the pitch. We understand it, and we do everything. We do whatever it takes to make this enhancement through the passion of football, which is very, very strong. So 2030, we see Qatar being at the front line of the football industry. We are not far from there, so we might see that also before 2030, inshallah. We are there now when it comes to hosting mega sports events. So even before the World Cup 2022, we have already created this reputation in the world of hosting mega sports events in an amazing way. The FIFA World Cup 2022 is going to show another level even of quality and delivery, but also in the other aspects of the industry, we will deliver the amazing in the next few years.
Thank you, Ahmed. Flavia, this is 2030.
I like it. I like what Mr. Ahmed said. It's like, I don't want to wait for 2030 as well. I hope we can see it before. Yeah, I hope we can see it before. I think what we want is actually really Qatar to actually have a workforce of volunteers that are ready, and trained, and for any other event or anything that is required, we have people who can put their hand up and know what to do and just get the task done. For other events, we all hope like more tournaments will come to Qatar after 2022, more sports events will come. So we will have people, we will be ready. And then this legacy, everybody will remember, starting the Asian Games and then come growing and growing and growing. But the World Cup was something that really made a difference and made the switch to actually really create a very strong community and this volunteer movement that we can actually say, look, it started there in 2022 and now here, look, we are delivering this and that and that and that. And really show the world that we can deliver and the people are ready to support. And we all together, you are united to deliver like an amazing World Cup. And after the World Cup, we can do anything else that comes on our way. You know what I mean? We'll be ready for this. So that's what I hope, that we create this very strong community of volunteers. They feel part of something bigger than them, and they keep that inside of them as a legacy after.
Thank you. One of the interesting things is that whenever experts in scenarios and strategic insight ask people about what they see in the distant future, people tend to talk about what they're facing daily. So it's a way to in the end to highlight things that keep them busy today and project them a little bit outside their comfort zone. Mark, strong of your experience, of many years, and looking at yourself in a few years from now, what do you see as some key developments or areas of trends which in a few years might become mainstream?
I think there are, for me, just listening to the comments, first and foremost, it was just very interesting to me to hear that the other panelists, each one of them mentioned the word global. And I absolutely believe that to be the case. I think that what we have here in the making within Doha and Qatar is a fabulous experience within 2022, which is starting now with all the training and preparation and planning which is going ahead into what will be, I am absolutely confident, a superb FIFA World Cup in 2022. I also believe quite strongly that therefore, Qatar more generally should absolutely be a global player when it comes to world-class sporting events, and we should take some of the expertise and experiences that Qatar is going through right now and the knowledge base that they're building, and we should start to export that as a lead player globally and start talking about the experience that we have in country as a consequence of pulling all of this fabulous work together. So I think for me, one of the things going forward will be that we absolutely share the footprint of Qatar globally, together with some of the learning which has taken place right way across the spectrum in relation to the FIFA World Cup. That's the first thing. On a personal level, with regards to my company, and one of the things that I've seen, many times over this last sort of 10 or 15 years, especially, is that it is one of the greatest threats to the safety of these events is the inability of governments, government departments, and countries to be able to share intelligence and information properly with those people that need it. It's one of the greatest threats to all of these events. And that doesn't mean to say that we have, it's not specifically in relation to, big kind of, attacks or anything, but just the ability to be able to share redacted information to in whatever form that may be, just so that people need to be more alert, or people need to have more awareness about what's going on around them, or the ability to be able to posture the hotel, travel and tourism industry to make sure it's just that little bit of a safer place. So on a personal and business level, that's where I'd like to be in 10 years' time, where the world community realizes that, and any information intelligence can start to be redacted down to a form that people can actually receive it. And secondly, just to make sure that Qatar talks about just how good these games are going to be, because they are.
Thank you, Mark. We have a couple of questions. First question is for Flavia from Liwa. What about the Football Club World Cup in February 2021? Are you willing to call volunteers from the region or globally?
So for the Club World Cup, in February, we mainly focus on people in Qatar due to the restrictions of COVID and people not being able to travel. We actually focusing in people, the residents of Qatar. But if you would like to participate, you can go to the website, the Qatar 2022, and there is a registration page for any volunteer opportunity that we might have it. You can register there, and then you can get to know more about what is coming up.
The question is, do you think that in the coming years, the local or national leagues will be important, or do you have to think about international leagues like Asian or world together with European teams? This is a very large question, but welcome your comments, Ahmed.
So again, our vision is to become the best league in Asia. We are not far at all from this vision, actually. So we've had such questions many times, also in regards to our national team in the past 10 years. Are you going to play with are you going to bring international players from outside to play 2022? Not at all. We are on the right path. We have a very good youth development program. So we have Aspire Academy, which is one of the best elite football academies in the world. So we are really on the best way, to create a better league, a better national team. We have already seen the outcome of that. But in the next few years, we're going to see more talents, better talents, stronger, faster, more talented football players. So we are not very much worried about it. We have a good level in our league right now, and in the next few years we're going to concentrate and focus even more on developing our local league. So there is no intention of changing anything immense or strange about that.
Thank you, Ahmed. Interesting. There is another question for Flavia in relation to the many people who registered over time for the volunteer program. I assume there are going to be activities for them. Flavia, would you like to briefly comment on that as well?
Yes. So if you already have registered, we're going through now. I just put the link here in the chat as well for people to update their profile. So we're going through a new system now, so you can update your profile, and then you will go through an interview. So the next step after the profile is being invited to attend an interview. And through the interview, so there is a video interview and then after a group interview, all online. And after that, you can actually start participating in the event, including the Club World Cup. So all the Club World Cup volunteers is coming from that registration part.
Thank you, Flavia. We still have 3 minutes, and if you don't mind, I would like to just ask you maybe a last personal question. We mentioned interviews, and this is about personal development. I am sure all of you going through this fantastic and in a way overwhelming experience of organizing a World Cup or other experiences of organizing major tournaments have been bringing with you some lessons that you learned from mentors or on the job, etc. Would you be open to share one lesson from your professional life that you are really taking with you all the time as you deliver this tournament successfully? Engineer Hanim.
Yes, thank you. I mean, the real lesson that I learned out of my life, especially in the work experience, is do not underestimate anything that you have to think about. Sometimes that you think that this kind of issues, it doesn't make any difference, but it's really sometimes it makes the difference. So you have to really get in each and every issue related to your work in a way that whenever you want to really make sure that you are going in the right track, you have to study the whole environment surrounding your work in order to move ahead with your plan. So do not underestimate. Everything is really important in your work with your colleagues, with your plans. Everything is important. So you have to engage everyone. You have to really encourage everyone to share these kind of issues or anything you will face during your work to move forward.
Thank you. It's a great insight. Ahmed, what's your lesson today?
I'd like to share 2 lessons actually,
please,
if I may.
Please.
The first lesson, everything has to be connected to your purpose. So there has to be, so you have to know your purpose. You have to know the purpose of the organization, the purpose of the department that you work in, and the purpose of the project that you are working on right now. So when you press that button every single day, you have to know why you do that. And that why has to connect with the why of the department, of the organization, and your why. And if it doesn't do that, then you're at the wrong place. So I think this is crucial of succeeding when it comes to the organization, the project, the department, but also for yourself. And it gives you that drive of every single day, doing whatever it takes to fulfill this purpose. The second lesson is we need more adaptive, transformational leaders. We need leaders that are firm with their vision and their purpose, but flexible with their methods, in order to have a better world tomorrow. And we all have to work towards that. We all have to develop our capabilities, but especially the capability to adapt and to be adaptive. It's not the same thing. To adapt is one thing, and to be adaptive is another. And I don't think we have enough time to discuss both of them. But those are the two major lessons I would like to share.
Thank you, Ahmed. Yes, we can definitely have a session on the difference between adapting and being and be adaptive. I totally agree with you. Flavia, lesson from you.
Look, I think I'm lucky in my area because I work with people, and we always learn from people. And you can learn from through volunteering. There is something people they're passionate about it. You don't volunteer and you don't actually give your time. Such a valuable thing in our lives at the moment. You don't give your time if you don't really believe in something, and if you don't really think that matters to you. So through my work, I learned, how much people can do on their free time. We have volunteers who actually they have full-time jobs, they have kids, they have 5 kids, and they still volunteer because they believe it and they really want to be part. So they find the time, they find a way, and I think that's really inspires. When you actually open to listen why people are actually volunteering, you can learn a lot through that. And if we have more people that are willing to do for others and for something like an event or for a country representing Qatar, we have a lot of people who've been living here in Qatar for a long time, and they say, look, Qatar gave me a lot. I'm not a Qatari, but Qatar gave me a lot. So I really need to actually give it back to the country who actually is looking after me for so many years. So it's really an opportunity. I think we learn through that. You actually open and say, wow, if someone can do that, I could actually also do that for other people in my life, in my family, and really it's the power of doing together as a community. People giving together. So I think that's what I learn every day. And every time I think now I got it. I get surprised, and then when we do an event like we did on the weekend, and I was really worried about everybody having to test to come to an event. I was like, it's a celebration. If people are coming to test to celebrate. And then I also got surprised because everybody was like, no, we all want to be safe and we all want to celebrate. So we will come and test. Don't worry, we test and we go and we're actually going to have a celebration. And it's the power of people doing, I think that our team at the moment is we are stronger when we are doing together. And I think that's my lesson.
Thank you, Flavia. I think it also resonates with the various comments over the past few sessions in terms of, on one hand, how different things might be after the COVID pandemic, but on the other hand, how things may actually be very much beautifully normal back to what we used to do and the things that we used to do, only with a bit more caution on some key aspects. Yeah. Thank you very much.
But Mark, I think we also value a bit more, We will value human interaction much more, I think now. We were okay, this is very precious. We should look after that moment.
Yes, I believe so. Thank you for sharing that. Mark, what's your lesson?
I have 2 short ones. The first one is within leadership, and that is absolutely to be dynamic, be forward-facing, and be progressive. I think that Qatar has it within its gift to be able to be all of those things, and so therefore we should go into this with real verve and demonstrate some real leadership and dynamism around how we can go about delivering these games, which is exactly what I see in these conversations taking place now and has been for some time. And the second thing for me, and it would be, wouldn't it, with my background, is this phraseology around hope for the best, plan for the worst, and I absolutely believe that to be true. We kind of train hard, play easy is my motto, and I think that is where we should be going forward into the games.
Thank you, Mark. So I would like to warmly thank everyone for having been with us today, our distinguished panelists, Engineer Hanem, Ahmed, Flavia, and Mark. Thank you so much for your insight and for sharing your experience, and most importantly, thank you for your time. It's hard to wrap up all the takeaways from this really interesting session, but just probably 4 keywords that I retain from what I learned. One is speed, the other one is adaptation, and the other one is community and people. So this does not give justice to all the interesting content we have emerged, but I hope these are small takeaways for us to keep with ourselves in our work, and we hope to have you again on Josoor sessions in the near future. Thank you very much.